Have you ever wondered, world, which so insistently taught you to be strong, independent, and self-sufficient, sometimes responds to you with a ringing silence? You achieved everything on your own. You built a career, learned to solve any problem, and became a pillar of support for yourself and others. Your strength is obvious, it is palpable, it is etched into your every decision, in every confident gesture. But why then does a quiet bewilderment live deep in your soul? Why does this strength you are so proud of, instead of attracting, sometimes erect an invisible wall? And why does a man, especially one you would call truly strong, look at you with admiration, but from a distance, as if before him stands not a woman, but an impregnable fortress, beautiful but cold? What if I told you that the greatest magnet hidden in a woman's nature is not the strength you so diligently display to the world? What if your most attractive part is what you have come to consider your weakness and hide from everyone, especially from yourself? The paradox that Carl Jung revealed in his work is that the modern woman, in her quest for equality and independence, often makes one fatal mistake. She begins to develop her masculine, active, achievement-oriented energy, which Jung called the animus, while simultaneously suppressing and burying the truly feminine principle, her anima, in the deepest cellars of her soul. She hides what seems vulnerable, passive, and irrational to her, in a word, weak. And this very weakness, which 99% of women hide, considering it their flaw, is in fact an inexhaustible source of magnetism. It is not helplessness or infantilism. It is not capriciousness or tears. It is something much more profound. It is the very energy that does not fight, but creates peace. That does not prove, but simply exists. That does not control, but trusts. It is the part of your soul that is capable not of taking, but of receiving. Not of speaking, but of listening. Not of leading, but of inspiring. A strong man, who himself possesses a developed animus, is not looking for a competitor or a mirror image in a woman. He is subconsciously searching for what will complete him, make him whole. He is searching for that very anima, that very weakness, which is in fact the highest form of strength. Today, we will embark on a journey into the most sacred corners of your soul. We will not talk about strategies or manipulations. We will talk about returning to yourself. We will unlock the secret of that very feminine weakness, which is nothing other than your authentic, primordial power. A power that is impossible to resist. A power that does not repel, but attracts. And when you allow it to manifest, you will see how the world around you begins to change. And the man who appears by your side will not be someone who wants to save you, but someone who has come to warm himself by your fire. Are you ready to meet the part of yourself you have hidden for so long? Then let's begin. The first weakness. Vulnerability as the highest form of trust. In our society, the word vulnerability has become almost synonymous with the word defect. We are taught from childhood, don't show wear it. Hurts. Be strong. Don't let anyone push you around. We build high walls around our hearts, put on the shining armor of self-sufficiency, and go out into the world ready for any battle. This armor, which Jung would call the persona, the social mask, is meant to protect us. But over time, it fuses with our skin, and we ourselves begin to believe that we are this impenetrable fortress. We become perfect, competent, and vulnerable, and terribly, agonizingly lonely, because love and intimacy cannot be born in a fortress. They are born where there is openness. The vulnerability we so fear is not an invitation to attack. It is a quiet, courageous declaration. I trust you enough to be willing to take off my armor. I am ready to show you not just my facade, but also my gardens, where not only roses bloom, but weeds also grow. I am ready to be real. This is not weakness, but incredible strength of spirit. The strength to be yourself without embellishment. Said that the shadow is everything we reject in ourselves. Our fear of being misunderstood, our fear of judgment, our old wounds, our need for warmth. We hide all of this in the shadow, considering it a shameful vulnerability. And the thicker the walls of our persona, the larger and darker our shadow becomes. A woman who dares to be vulnerable performs an act of psychological integration. She says to her shadow, I see you. I accept you. You are a part of me too. She stops spending a colossal amount of energy maintaining an ideal image and directs that energy into living. What does a strong man see in this? He does not see a victim. A victim complains and accuses. A vulnerable woman shares and trusts. This is a fundamental difference. He sees before him not an opponent in shining armor with whom he must compete in strength, but a living human being. Her vulnerability is, to him, the highest form of compliment. She tells him without words, I feel safe with you. I believe you will not harm me. This silent signal awakens in him not a desire to dominate, but the most noble masculine instinct. Desire to protect and cherish. Imagine two pictures. The first is a woman rock. She is flawless, smart, successful. She solves any problem with ease, and not a single muscle ever twitches on her face. A man looks at her with admiration, but feels redundant. Why does she need him if she herself is an entire army? His energy, his desire to be useful and needed, simply bounces off her smooth, polished surface dot. Now for the second picture. A woman who, after a difficult day, can honestly say, not complaining, but simply sharing, I'm so tired today. It was hard for me. Or, when faced with a problem, can ask not for a ready-made solution, but for advice. I don't know. What to do? What do you think about this? She isn't shifting responsibility. She is sharing her inner world. She is opening the door to her heart. In that moment, the man feels not her weakness, but her trust. He feels that he has been entrusted with the most precious thing, her authenticity. And this gives rise not to pity, but to the deepest respect and tenderness. He is not saving her. He is becoming her ally. Vulnerability doesn't mean telling the first person you meet about your childhood traumas. It is the art of dosing sincerity. It is the ability to be honest about your feelings here and now. It is the courage to say, I'm scared. I don't know. I need your help. Such weakness is disarming. It melts the ice of distrust and creates a space for true intimacy. Because only by taking off the armor can you truly embrace each other. A woman who dares to be vulnerable ceases to be a function or an achievement. She becomes a soul. And strong men are always drawn to the soul. Asterisk, asterisk, the second weakness. The ability to receive as a manifestation of self-worth. Asterisk, asterisk, the modern world sings hymns to the woman who does it all herself. She earned it herself, built it herself, raised it herself, hammered the nail in herself. This model of behavior, dictated by an overdeveloped animus, seems to be the gold standard of strength and independence. And a woman, following it, not only learns to do everything herself, she unlearns how to receive. An outstretched hand of help is perceived as an insult. An offer to pay for her in a restaurant as an encroachment on her independence. A compliment as flattery with a catch. A gift as an attempt to buy her favor. She lives by the motto, I don't need anything from anyone. And this position, which seems to her a strength, is actually a subtle form of pride, born of fear. The fear of being indebted, the fear of appearing needy, the fear of losing control. She builds a world around herself in which she is the sole source of energy. She only gives care, attention, solutions, money. And over time, inevitably, she becomes depleted. Her inner well runs dry because she has blocked all. The streams that could have filled it. Jung would say that such a woman violates a fundamental law of psychic energy. Energy must flow, circulate. A relationship is always in exchange. When a woman only gives and refuses to receive, she blocks this flow. She is essentially telling a man, your energy, your care, your desire to do something for me are not needed. I can handle it myself. What does a man feel in such a situation? Even the most generous and strong man, faced with a solid wall of refusal, will be at a loss. His masculine nature, his animus, strives for action, for overcoming, for giving. When he does something for a woman, he is not trying to humiliate her. He is expressing his essence. He wants to be a hero for her, even in small things. Carrying a heavy bag, opening a door, solving her small problem. When she accepts his gesture with a grateful smile, she is not showing her weakness. She is showing her value. She says without words, I am worthy of your care. I appreciate your efforts. What you do is important to me. The ability to receive is not passivity. It is an active spiritual act. It is the ability to receive with dignity and gratitude what the world and people want to give you. It is a manifestation of deep self-worth. Only a woman who is deeply confident in her value can receive gifts easily and joyfully, without feeling obligated. She knows that she is worthy of it simply by right of her existence. Imagine you are a beautiful, expensive vase. If you are filled to the brim with your own water, nothing more can fit inside. Any attempt to add more life-giving moisture will only result in it spilling over. But if you allow yourself to be a little empty, if there is space within you, you invite the world to fill you. A strong man is intuitively drawn to a woman who knows how to receive, because with her, he feels strong. She gives him the opportunity to show his best masculine qualities. Her gratitude is not payment. It is fuel for his ego in the healthiest sense of the word. She creates a space around herself where he can be generous, caring, and competent. She does not devalue his impulses, but accepts them as a gift. This weakness is the ability to say thank you for a compliment without embarrassment or excuses. The ability to let a man help you, even if you really can handle it yourself. The ability to joyfully accept gifts, seeing in them not a bribe, but a desire to bring you pleasure. This does not make you dependent. On the contrary, it makes you a center of energetic attraction. You cease to be a closed system and become part of the great, generous flow of the universe. You allow yourself not only to give, but also to receive. And it is this balance that makes you incredibly resourceful, fulfilled, and magnetically attractive. Because there is nothing more attractive than a woman who is at peace and in harmony with herself and the entire world. ***, the third weakness. Emotional honesty as true courage. ***, we were taught that strength is controlling your emotions. Keep it together. Don't fall apart. Don't be hysterical. A woman striving to be strong often wears a mask of imperturbability. She suppresses her fear, hides her sadness, swallows her resentment. It seems to her that showing negative emotions is a sign of weakness that could push a man away. She is afraid of seeming too complicated, too demanding, too emotional. As a result, her inner world turns into a boiling cauldron under a tightly sealed lid. Jung would call this the process of energy accumulating in the shadow. Emotions that are not lived and expressed do not disappear. They accumulate, become distorted, and begin to control the woman from within. They burst out in the form of passive aggression, sarcasm, inexplicable coldness, psychosomatic illnesses, or sudden, destructive explosions over trivial matters. A man with such a woman is constantly tense. He feels that something is wrong, but can't figure out what. The atmosphere is saturated with unexpressed resentments and suppressed anger. This is exhausting and destroys any intimacy. Now, imagine another woman, one who possesses the so-called weakness of emotional honesty. This doesn't mean she creates drama over every little thing. Quite the opposite. Emotional honesty is the calm and timely acknowledgement of one's true feelings. It is the courage to say not, "You hurt me, but I felt hurt when you said that." Not, "You're pissing me off, but I'm feeling angry right now." Not, "Everything's fine," when everything inside is collapsing, but I feel sad. This is a fundamental difference between accusation and statement. An accusation attacks. A statement invites dialogue. When a woman speaks honestly about her feelings, she does not shift responsibility to the man. She takes responsibility for her own inner world. She becomes transparent and understandable. What does a strong, emotionally mature man see in this? He sees not weakness, but incredible inner strength and courage. The courage to be real. He sees a woman who trusts him enough to show him her soul without embellishment. He doesn't have to play guessing games. He doesn't have to walk on the minefield of her unexpressed emotions. He knows exactly what is happening with her. This creates an incredible level of trust and intimacy. A strong man is not afraid of a woman's emotions. He is afraid of unpredictability and manipulation. Hysterics, the silent treatment, passive aggression, that's what repels him. But a calm, honest, "I'm in pain right now," makes him want not to run away, but to embrace her and understand what's wrong. Her emotional openness makes the relationship alive. She doesn't hide her feelings in the dark closet of the shadow, but brings them into the light, where they can be examined, discussed, and healed together. This weakness is the ability to be alive. Not a robot, not a function, not a perfect picture, but a human being with a full spectrum of feelings. It is the ability to cry when sad and laugh when happy, to ask for support when scared and share joy when the soul is light. This makes a woman not convenient, but authentic. And authenticity is the rarest of treasures in our world of plastic smiles and filtered emotions. When a woman allows herself this weakness, she ceases to be a puzzle that needs to be solved and becomes a story one wants to read. She ceases to be a problem that needs to be fixed and becomes a journey one wants to embark on. And a strong man, seeking not games but depth, will intuitively choose just such a journey. Because only with an emotionally honest woman can he himself afford the luxury of being real. Asterisk, asterisk, the fourth weakness, trusting the flow as a rejection of hypercontrol. Asterisk, asterisk, one of the main traps for a strong woman is the illusion that she can and must control everything. Her life, her career, her relationships, her emotions, and of course, her man. She lives in a state of constant high alert. Her mind works 24/7, calculating risks, making plans, preventing potential problems. She trusts no one, not the world, not people, and ultimately, not even herself. It seems to her that if she loosens her grip for even a second, everything will collapse. This need for hypercontrol, born of deep anxiety, is a manifestation of the tyranny of her animus. She tries to manage what is by nature feminine, fluid, and irrational life and relationships with masculine, logical, linear force. This not only exhausts her, but also creates a field of total tension around her. A man with such a woman feels like he's under a microscope. His every step is evaluated. His every decision is questioned. She tries to help him, improve him, guide him. She doesn't trust his ability to handle things himself. She essentially castrates his masculine energy, trying to make him a more perfect version of herself. The relationship turns into a project, and the man becomes an object to be managed. No strong, self-respecting man will stay in such a role for long. He will either rebel or quietly leave for a place where he is allowed to just be himself. Now let's look at the other extreme. At that very weakness, that is a magnet. It is the ability to trust. To trust not blindly and naively, but wisely and deeply. It is the rejection of the illusion of total control and the acceptance of the fact that life is a flow, not a set of instructions. A woman who possesses this weakness knows how to relax. She knows how to let go. Jung said that the path to wholeness or individuation is not a forced march toward a goal, but rather like floating with the current, the ability to hear the signs and trust one's inner compass one's self. A woman who trusts the flow is not passive. She does everything that depends on her, but she doesn't try to break down a wall with her head. She knows how to wait. She knows how to accept unexpected turns. She believes that even if something doesn't go according to her plan, it's not a catastrophe, but part of a larger, unknown design. What happens when such a woman enters a relationship? She trusts the man. She believes in his strength, in his intelligence, in his ability to make decisions. She doesn't try to control him. She creates a space of freedom around her where he can breathe deeply. She might give him advice if he asks, but she won't impose her opinion. She might express her desire, but she won't demand its immediate fulfillment. Her motto is not, "I know best, but I believe in you." This simple attitude changes everything. The man beside her straightens his shoulders. He feels trusted, and this inspires him to be the best version of himself. He doesn't need to prove anything because she already believes in him. He can make mistakes, and she won't crucify him for it because she knows that mistakes are part of the journey. This weakness is the ability to hand the wheel over to the man in areas where he is competent. It's the ability to relax in the passenger seat and enjoy the ride, knowing that a reliable driver is at the wheel. This doesn't make her a Willis doll. She can always express her opinion or ask to stop, but she won't grab the wheel and scream that he's going the wrong way. Such trust is the rarest gift a woman can give a man. In a world where everyone demands guarantees and 100% results, she gives him faith. And it is for this feeling, the feeling of being believed in, that a strong man is willing to go to the ends of the earth. Because a woman's trust is the wind that fills the sails of his ship. Without this wind, even the most powerful battleship will just stand still. But with this wind, he can cross any ocean. The fifth weakness, softness as unbreakable strength. Finally, we have come to the most non-obvious, most subtle, and most powerful weakness, softness. In a culture obsessed with efficiency and results, softness is often confused with spinelessness. Strength is associated with hardness, directness, the ability to insist on one's own way, to push through one's decision. A woman who has adopted this masculine model becomes rigid. She argues until she is hoarse, proving she is right. She plows ahead, sweeping away obstacles. She is like a steel crowbar that can break through a wall, but cannot change itself. Communication with a man often turns into a duel, a battle of wits, a competition of wills, a clash of two egos. In this battle, there may be winners and losers, but there will never be intimacy. Hardness begets a hard response. Pressure causes resistance. A man, faced with such an unbending position, either goes to war or capitulates and loses himself, or leaves in search of peace. True feminine power, the kind rooted in her anima, is not hard. It is soft, but its softness is not the weakness of modeling clay that can be shaped into any form. It is the softness of water. Water is the softest and most yielding substance in nature, yet it can wear away stone and carve its path through rocks. Water does not fight the obstacle. It flows around it. It doesn't try to change its shape. It finds a detour. It yields, but it always reaches its goal, the ocean. A woman who possesses this weakness never enters into a direct confrontation. She doesn't say, "No, you're wrong." She might say, "That's an interesting thought. I see it a little differently." She doesn't criticize. She offers an alternative. She doesn't command, she asks. Her influence lies not in the power of her voice, but in the warmth of her intonation. She doesn't push. She inspires. Jung would say that this is the highest manifestation of the anima's wisdom, a wisdom that understands that direct confrontation is the most energy-draining and inefficient way to interact. Softness is the diplomacy of the soul. It is the ability to extinguish a conflict at its very inception without compromising one's core values. Imagine a man has made a decision with which a woman disagrees. The rigid woman will say, "That's stupid, we're not doing that," and a war will begin. The soft woman might say, "I hear you and I respect your decision, but I have some concerns. Can we discuss them? I want things to turn out for the best for us." She doesn't attack him, she joins him. She puts herself on the same side as him, against the problem, not against him. This soft power disarms a man. He has no one to fight. He is not being attacked, but invited to cooperate. His ego is not bruised, but on the contrary, respected. And in this atmosphere of acceptance, he himself becomes more flexible and ready for compromise. A woman's softness awakens not aggression in him, but tenderness. He wants to be gentle with someone who is so gentle with him. This weakness is the ability to be flexible, the ability to yield in small things to win in what is most important: harmony and love. It is the ability to smooth sharp corners, not create them. It is a quiet, unbreakable strength that does not break, but transforms. Like a warm spring that melts the thickest ice, not by fighting, but with its constant, gentle warmth. A strong man can resist any force, but he is absolutely powerless before softness. It does not make him want to fight. It makes him want to surrender, not in the sense of losing, but in the sense of trusting and dissolving in her warmth. Asterisk, asterisk, conclusion. Returning to your true nature. Asterisk, asterisk, we have journeyed through the weaknesses that are, in fact, your greatest but hidden strengths. Vulnerability, which is trust. The ability to receive, which is self-worth. Emotional honesty, which is courage. Trusting the flow, which is wisdom. And softness, which is unbreakable influence. All of these are not a set of techniques to be learned. They are different facets of the same process that Jung called individuation, the process of returning to your true self. It is the path of rejecting the imposed, masculine model of strength and finding your authentic feminine nature. This does not make you worse, weaker, or less significant. On the contrary, it makes you whole. A woman who is no longer afraid of her weakness ceases to be a function, a project, or a fortress. She becomes a phenomenon of nature, like an ocean in which one wants to drown, like a quiet garden in which one wants to stay forever, like the warm earth that gives life to everything it touches. It is to such a woman that a truly strong man is drawn. He is not looking for a sparring partner or a subordinate. He is looking for an equal ally. He is looking for the one whose weakness will balance his strength, the one whose softness will calm his spirit, the one whose trust will give him wings. He is not looking for a reflection of himself, but for his missing half of the universe. Stop hiding your vulnerability. Stop denying the world its desire to care for you. Stop being afraid of your feelings. Stop trying to control everything, and allow yourself the luxury of being soft. This is the very weakness that 99% of women hide while continuing to play exhausting power games. But you now know the truth. Your true strength is not in your armor, but in its absence. Not in the ability to fight, but in the ability to love. Not in being strong, but in being yourself. The path to this strength lies through accepting the parts of yourself you have long considered a defect. Look at them with love. Give them the right to exist, and you will see how your life fills with lightness, harmony, and the very magic you have been searching for outside yourself for so long, not realizing it was always within you. It was simply waiting for you to let it be. And that is the most precious gift you can give not only to a man, but to yourself.